welcome to a There It Is podcast mini episode, a comedy podcast to help you find your inspiration with a quick tip. I'm your host, Jason Farr. Let's do this. Thanks for joining me for our final mini episode for a little while. Today, I'm talking about facing fear. It's super common. If you are nervous before shows or are anxious, then know that you are not some anomaly. You're not some weirdo who isn't getting it. You're a normal person. I think it's more common to be nervous before a show than it is to not be nervous before a show. When I think about fear that I've experienced, I think about learning to do a backflip off of a diving board into a pool. I was in junior high, and my cousin Jay was doing backflips off of it, and I wanted to too, but I was nervous. I was just too scared to do it, and I was standing there just staring at the water, too afraid to flip off the board, and Jay came up to me, and he said, just loud enough for me to hear, "You know what I think before I do it? I just think, fuck it. I just say fuck it, and I do it." That means he wasn't doing the flips because he wasn't afraid. He had some fear. Why would he need to pump himself up if he wasn't feeling some sort of fear? He was afraid a little. He was just casting that fear off with a screw you. So that's exactly what I did. I ran down the board, got to the end, said to myself, fuck it, I'm doing this, and I did it. And when I successfully did it and saw that not only did I not get hurt, I also had fun, it made it that much easier to do. Sometimes before you go do a scary thing or walking out on stage, you gotta just say, fuck it. Or before you step out to start a scene, you just gotta say, screw this fear, I'm doing this thing. That can demystify it. Now, I also asked a few comedy friends for advice, and I got some tips for you about facing fear from them. Last week, I shared something Rick Andrews said. Here's what he had to say about fear. He said, it's totally okay to be nervous. When people are nervous before shows, they often feel cowardly, but they're being brave. They're doing something that scares them, and the audience gets that, and they're rooting for you. So keep that in mind, people. He is so right. Some stand-up crowds, I know, can be a little make me laugh, but audiences, they want to have a good time too. So they are there to enjoy themselves. They are rooting for you because they want to have a good time. I also asked guest of episode 29 and 140, Brian James O'Connell, for advice, and he had some great advice if what I've already shared doesn't make the fear go away. He said, if you continue to get nervous before shows, play nervous characters. Allow yourself to be confused. People are confused in real life all the time. Be unafraid to say aloud in character, what the fuck is everyone talking about? And Brian is right. Characters should look like real life, and people are confused or scared in real life. If your fear makes you feel lost in the scene, then go ahead and be a lost person. Have your character say, what is happening right now? It's fair game. And finally, I got some advice from Greg Tavares of Theater 99 and guest of episode 9 of the podcast. He said that he felt like an average improviser starting out, which I can't imagine because he's amazing, but that's what he said. His fix was to give himself a persona that had the skills and courage that he wanted to have. He was still himself, but a better version of himself when he improvised. This persona of a better version of himself faced fears, was fun to play with, made his partners look good, and got laughs from the audience doing it. I love that advice because, for one, it reminds me of what Del Close used to say about how improv can make you a better version of yourself. But this method also is tried and true. Beyonce has talked about how Sasha Fierce is her stage persona, and that clearly works for her, right? We all are very aware of how amazing she is on stage, and it's because she has this stage persona, Sasha Fierce. You can see the fierce confidence she exudes on stage. What Greg is talking about is the same thing. Have a persona so you can do the thing. Greg also reminded me of an Eckhart Tolle quote that I learned from girlfriend of the show, Justina. Whatever you fight, you strengthen. Whatever you resist, persists. So don't resist in these moments of fear. That fear will persist. Fight it. Fight by knowing you're brave and are being brave by saying, fuck it, and facing this fear. Fight it by accepting it's there and using it in your scenes. Fight it with a persona that's a better version of yourself. The you that faces fear is funny and fun to play with. You got this. Speaking of Greg Tavares, he has a great audio book out now. I just want to mention it's called I Am the Horrible Thing, a true life story of how I almost got myself killed on vacation. It's a solo show he did, and it's not straight comedy, and it gets pretty deep, maybe even a little dark, but still has humor. And Greg is great. He's got so much integrity in his work, and he's authentic and funny. You can listen to his audiobook on Amazon. Again, the name is I Am the Horrible Thing, a true life story of how I almost got myself killed on vacation. And there's a link in the bio for it. And with that, we conclude our mini episodes for the time being. Thanks for listening, and I hope these helped. These were fun to do, so I'll periodically bring them back. But next week, we have a brand new full episode, the first of the new year. It's a Pop Talk episode. All episodes of the podcast are available on Amazon, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. We also are building up our YouTube channel, which we upload episodes to on Thursdays. Subscribe wherever is most convenient for you to listen to us. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at ThereItIsPod. Follow me on Twitter at JasonFarJokes and Instagram at JasonFarPics. Also subscribe to our Comedy Lifestyle newsletter and support us if you can. We have a Patreon and a PayPal. Go to ThereItIsPod.com for newsletter and support info. Links in bio. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, be good to each other.